guys, welcome to the very first episode of Kea and Sky's The Limit. We are having our weekly marriage check-in. We are trying to do this thing where every Sunday we make sure that we sit down, we focus on one another, and we do a weekly check-in just to make sure our mental is still good and everything like that. Make sure that we are checking on each other. So we have a few questions that we are going to ask, and we're going to let those questions lead to kind of an open discussion. So we wanted to share that with you guys today. So
wish us luck.
The first question is going to be, what assumptions did you bring into our marriage?
The assumptions that I brought were that everything was going to be rainbows and butterflies. Everything was going to be easy. And if there was enough love there, then everything else didn't matter. And that the way that a marriage is supposed to go was that I'd be the breadwinner and my wife would be the housewife that maybe worked, but not as much as me type thing. And I've had to get around that with picking up the slack as far as being partners instead of having one person do one thing and the other person to fall into this role or whatever predetermined role I thought was going to be the marriage.
I think the assumption that I brought into my marriage was that I was entering a 50-50 partnership. I'm super big on like fairness and things being equal and everything like that. So I assumed that when we got married, that is how it would be to be 50-50. Like, especially because I am working. I do work full-time job. We do have two babies, two boys. And so my assumption was that, I cook, you clean. Or I clean, you cook. Or I clean and cook and you take care of the kids and you handle them, or whatever. So I came in with that assumption, and I think when we entered the marriage and we were going through our day-to-day, it definitely didn't turn out to be that way. I think your expectations of me were super high. And so that it was definitely some adjusting and some conversations to be had and some things to figure out. But I think recently we have been doing a hell of a job with balancing out the scale. So for that, I am appreciative.
Yeah. Appreciate you too. It's definitely been an adjustment for me because I didn't come into the marriage with that mindset. So it's basically required me to get off my ass and kind of kick myself in the butt. Like, you're not a slave, you're not my maid, none of that shit. So I shouldn't treat you like that. And bring back up the fact I could see if you was a housewife and all you did was sit at home, then I think my expectations would shift a little bit. Like, okay, well, you've been at home all day. The house should be clean. Some food should be ready or something like that. But we do both work, and we both work long hours. So we kind of got to meet somewhere in the middle instead of it being shifted to one side or the other.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I do get frustrated and be like, well, I don't feel like doing this stuff, but I kind of gotta grow up a little bit and stop using the excuse of it being like I'm not used to it, because I came into this just me, and you came in with children, and so we kind of had to blend this family together. And so I keep using the excuse, oh, I'm not used to it, I've never had kids, I don't know, but it's required. But I've been around long enough to know what the day-to-day is like.
Yeah.
So it's just been an adjustment. I wouldn't say it's 50-50 quite yet. Like, I don't know, or I don't realize what's going on around me a lot of times. Sometimes I get in my bubble and I just worry about me. I play the game or something like that. So it is an adjustment to notice what's going on around you. Notice that, she's cooking right now. Let me, do something with the boys and make sure their homework's done, or, start to load the laundry or wash the dishes. Or if I know you about to come in and cook and it's sink full of dishes, go ahead, throw them in the dishwasher. Like, takes 2 seconds to throw them in that, and that way the dishes be ready for you to cook, or, stuff like that.
And I think that was kind of my expectation, for you to just know to do that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily need to be told to do that, or, really taught to do that. That was another one of my expectations, was you just would automatically know what to do without me having to tell you what to do. So, and I think that was an issue that I had within myself, because I can be very closed-mouthed sometimes. So instead of me voicing to you that, I need help, or I would like for you to help me, I would just kind of like suffer in silence and just be mad and be irritated inside and just do everything, when all I could have said was, can you do this real quick? So yeah, I think we both had some high expectations of one another coming into the marriage, and we learned pretty quickly that we need to shift those expectations. Yeah. Be more realistic.
Yeah.
So the next question is literally, has your marriage lived up to your expectations?
So no. No.
Definitely not.
But I think no, it hasn't lived up to my expectations, but what it has done is I feel like open my eyes to reality, and what I got in a marriage and what I have is a family, and that's probably more than I could have expected. I haven't grown up in a broken house or anything like that, but I think I never realized what went into maintaining a household. Like, as a kid, you are not really there for the relationship aspect of your mom and your dad. You are like, well, this is what's supposed to be done. My mom's supposed to automatically cook for me. My dad's supposed to, whatever. And I'm supposed to just be here as a kid. And so it's like a 180, 360, 180, one of them, shift to know what's on the other side of what I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
And the amount of work that it takes to maintain a household and a family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been like a shift for me. So yeah, it hasn't lived up to my expectations, but the marriage I have, the family I have, is greater than what I expected. If that makes sense.
It does. Me growing up as a kid, my mom was basically a single mom. Mm-hmm. So I just saw my mom just be very independent, and she did everything herself. So I think the expectation that I had with getting married was I wasn't gonna have to do it on myself. Like, I wasn't gonna need to do it on myself. Yeah. So I just the dog is freaking barking. The dog's barking. Anyway. Yeah, so oh my gosh.
You gonna cut?
Yep. Yeah. All right, anyway, like I was saying, I grew up with my mom being a single mom, and I mean, my dad was there. He like wasn't non-existent, but in the household, it was my mom, and she did everything. She made sure everything was taken care of and everything like that. So my expectation of getting married was I wasn't gonna have to do everything myself. I was gonna have somebody to help me do this stuff. And then when I realized it wasn't necessarily that, I was disappointed. But I also think it was kind of hard for me to let go of some of those things because I am so independent. I was just kind of on my own, doing my own thing, raising these two boys and just doing everything myself. So I don't know, it was hard. But no, the marriage so far, our marriage so far has not lived up to my expectations that I had like in my mind. But I think every day we are laying the foundation. I mean, because we've only been married for a year. So we're still laying our foundation, I feel like. And I feel like we're laying the foundation for our marriage to work for us, despite it not living up to the expectations that we may have had in the beginning. What about your marriage is better and more satisfying than you ever thought possible?
What about my marriage is better and more satisfying than I ever thought? Just having someone there. You know, I travel, I go on deployment, I do all these things where it takes me away from my family, and when I get back, the feeling I have when I walk through the door and I'm greeted by you, or I haven't seen the boys in a while and they're like, Skyla, that's probably the greatest feeling that I've ever experienced, or I could have ever imagined. I didn't understand, or I've never felt like the embrace of somebody missing you, the way you and the boys show me that you miss me. Like, you running and jumping on me, you know, it's probably the best thing about being married.
I feel like this is a hard question.
It's very
hard because, I mean, there's so many things that, I don't know. There's so many things that are just great that I really can't.
Yeah,
I just land on one. Yeah. I mean, like, I think the best thing for me is the example of love that we are showing the boys. I think that is just amazing for me. I know they have seen me through some very trying times, and for them to be able to witness the love and the affection and the respect and the care that we show to each other is just phenomenal, because I've always been worried about the boys, because like I said, they've seen me through some really bad times, and I've always been worried about their mental, but I'm very appreciative that they get to witness someone loving their mom the way that she's supposed to be loved, and I'm grateful that they get to witness me loving somebody the way they're supposed to be loved. So and the fact that they have that example is super important to me. Yeah.
That's dope.
Whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, have this open dialogue with each other, because marriage is hard. It's not easy at all. And sometimes it's really hard to just take the time to sit down and really talk to your partner and just really tap into what they're thinking, what they're feeling, because it can be different every day. You don't know. So this was a great first episode, I think. We'll be back next Sunday having another conversation about another topic, and hopefully it goes this well because this went very, very well.
You might catch us duking it out.
Surprisingly, it went very well.
That's good.
But yeah, catch us next Sunday, y'all.
So yeah, with that, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it, share it with your friends so they can join us on the next episode. If you got any ideas about the things we should talk about next, go ahead and leave a comment below. And be sure to subscribe if you want to follow us with these conversations. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.